Okay, so today's lesson is on right and skew prisms. So we will learn what both of those words mean. Prisms have faces, edges, vertices, and bases. So we're going to be able to identify what all of these pieces are. The faces are kind of the flat part that you can rub your hand, that you can put your hand against. And so where they meet are called the edges. So the dotted lines in a diagram show the hidden edges that you can't see unless you have X-ray vision. Edges meet at vertices, so they're the corners that could hurt you. Every prism has two bases. The two bases are the same shape, okay? And they're always the same size. So congruent polygons just means they're the same shape and size. To make the skeleton for a prism, so that would be like using marshmallows and toothpicks to just make the edges and the vertices. First, you need to make two copies of the base. So you notice here they made two copies of the triangle. This is their base. And then join each vertex in one base to a vertex in the other base. So you can see how they've connected them together. The side edges should be parallel. Parallel means they're going in the same direction, but they do not have to be vertical. So they could go sideways or they could go up and down. The way that you name it is for the base. So a pentagonal prism has two pentagons, and there's rectangles joining them. A rectangular prism has rectangular bases and then other rectangles joining them. A triangular prism has two triangles with rectangles joining them. For question 1, they're going to ask you to shade each base and then name them. So you can use your color to shade. It doesn't matter if it's the top or the bottom, but shade in the base and then name the prism. So what shape did I just shade? This shape is a hexagon, so we call it a hexagonal prism. The name always comes from the shape that makes up the base. What shape are the faces that are not bases? So all of the sides that are not faces that are not bases are rectangles. Then they're going to ask you, how many faces that are not bases does each prism have? So we're only going to worry about the first one here. How many rectangles would the hexagonal prism have? And it has 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll probably notice that there's one for every side or every edge of the base face. Apparently this is very poetic and rhyming. So, Kyler, are you ready to help me? So we have two pentagons. Are these right prisms? Do they directly go across or are they skew? They're right prisms. So we would put A on the right prism list. Now for B, would it be a right prism, skew prism, or non-prism? It would be a right prism as well, because whether we go the top and the bottom, everything's kind of meeting at 90-degree angles. What about for C? This one's kind of confusing because they're both squares. However, are they the same size? No. And so if they're not congruent, then it's technically a different type of shape. So it's actually not a prism. Okay? If we look at D, yeah, this one, the shapes are exactly the same. They're just tilted. So this would be a skew prism. Now, the other reason you might find something is not a prism is because it's not connected with rectangles. Is there a shape in here that's not connected with rectangles? No one? F is connected by really long, skinny ones, but E is connected all by pentagons. Both the face and the edges are pentagons, so it would not be a prism either. So using what we've just talked about, you can help answer question B to choose one of the 3D shapes that's not a prism and explain why. So we've briefly gone over that for each of them. A lot of this lesson is also going to be about learning how to sketch different shapes. So, first step to sketch a triangular prism is to sketch 2 congruent triangles. So you'll see here that they started it for us. They gave us one triangle, and the other triangle, they have made exactly the same shape and size. It's just moved over. The second step is to join the corresponding vertices. So the top is going to meet with the top. You're not going to bring it to the bottom, right? The bottom corner will meet with the bottom corner, and the other corner will meet with the other one. Now, step 3, they're saying that you can use an eraser to make the hidden edges dashed. This might be a little bit too complex for us, but basically you're just going and taking away little bits from the lines that you wouldn't actually be able to see without X-ray vision, if that makes sense. So we would have 3 hidden edges in this one. So for part B, you're going to sketch your own. So you choose your own triangle and you sketch it. Now they do a pretty good job of breaking down all the steps one at a time. So I'm going to let you finish the rest of the questions on your own to the best of your ability, and read the instructions really carefully and follow the steps if they break it down to you in step 1, step 2, step 3.